Hello everyone, my name is Twane Ahorangi Bartlett. I'm a violet ray twin flame in Parakai, New Zealand. Thank you for liking, watching and subscribing. I'm back after my huge adventure down in South Island, New Zealand, and I'm making this video first of all to apologize that I haven't posted on my YouTube channel. One of the side effects of me traveling is because I go off the mainstream. I want to discover places and people that is away from big cities, and I go a little bit off the grid. And what happens is I end up in places where I have limited internet access. And what happened this time was because I post on my Facebook Heart Solutions page, and I also post on YouTube, but because of the limited data, I chose to go onto my Facebook as a default because it's more interactive. And that's where I post my photos as well. That's where I can make quick little write-ups. This is what I'm doing. This is what's happening. So Facebook was my go-to. And I apologize that my daily tarot didn't post on my YouTube channel. And when I came back after my travels, I tried to how to say it, post date or back schedule my videos that I did post on my Facebook page, but YouTube doesn't allow me to do this. So it's a little bit of a pain. So once again, I apologize. And I'm also making this video to tell you about my adventures. And I truly had a blast. Okay, so I've got my phone out, and I'm trying out a new webcam, so I hope you can see it clearly. So what I want to show you is my trip and what I did. So I'm just going to stand up. So what happened was I'm here in Auckland. That's Parakai, Helensville, and I traveled by train. I traveled by train all the way from Auckland. I took the Northern Express all the way from Auckland down to Wellington, and it takes you past Mount Ruapeo. It takes you, off it's a different route to the motorway. So you see countrysides that you don't see when you travel by car. And so I went to Wellington. I spent one night in Wellington, and then I took the ferry, the Inter-Islander, across to South Island. And Picton is where I was, these little Picton. And then I picked up a car. I slept over one night, and I picked up a car, and I took Route 6, and I drove from Picton to Nelson, and then from Nelson I drove all the way down. I'll just make it a bit smaller. I drove all the way down to Westport, and from Westport I drove to Greymouth. So this piece of coast here is where I spent most of my time. Greymouth I was 3 days, and I went to Hokitika, which is a lovely little tourist town. It has a lot of activities to do. I also drove down to Franz Josef. I just want to get it quickly. So Franz Josef is where I booked a heli ride. So these Franz Josef here. I booked a heli ride, but it rained out. And so on that day, I went back to Hokitika, and I spent some time there doing touristy things. And then the other thing that happened was it was quite a bit of an adventure. The next trip that I was going to go over Arthur's Pass to Christchurch, and I got up early in the morning. I drove from Greymouth up here. I drove to as far as, let me just find it. When you go through Arthur's Pass, they stopped me at a little place called Otira. Right. So Otira is about maybe 100 kilometers from Greymouth. There's Otira down there. Where did I go now? So I went to Otira, and there were these lovely gentlemen next to the road. They stopped me. They said, you can't proceed without chains because it snows quite a bit on the Southern Alps. And they said, you can either stay here and wait it out and see what happens. And then I said to them, no, I'll go back to Greymouth. And I've already decided I will get some chains because I truly needed to get to Christchurch on that day. So I had to go over the pass. So I drove back. It was early in the morning. I had breakfast. I waited for the car rental company to open for the day. And the lady was very helpful. She gave me a pair of chains. We watched some videos because I've never put chains on a car before. And lots of instructions and a video on my phone, and off I go. I get back to Otira, and the gentlemen that was there were gone. And a couple of, maybe another kilometer onwards, there's this big board, electronic board that says, you need to put your chains on your car now. So I pulled off the road, I put the chains on, following the instructions as best as I could. And I crossed my fingers and I started to drive, but it was so noisy because I've never had chains, on the wheel. So I didn't know whether it was normal or what. But anyway, I went very slow, and lo and behold, like all the other people living in that area, they would just whiz past me like no chains. None of them have chains on. They just going like it's Grand Prix over the hill. And after about a kilometer of putting up with this noise, I decided, no, I'm going to take the chains off. And what happened was I couldn't get the chains off because I didn't put them on tight enough. So the little sections where the fitting is, where you link the chains around the back of the wheel, they were damaged, and I couldn't undo them because they slipped underneath the tire. And there I was. I need to get to Christchurch. I'm already delayed because I had plans for that day. I was on a little bit of a mission, so I was already behind schedule. And so I forged ahead to the top of the pass, and there was this lovely gentleman. His name is Michael. He works at the coffee shop of Arthur's Pass. If you go over the pass, it's on the right-hand side of the road. They have Kia birds there. It was absolutely beautiful. But I went there and I said, please, is there someone who can help me? I need to get the chains off my car. So he came, and first of all, he said, I've never seen something like this in my life. And then I said, well, I'm from Auckland. That most probably would have explained everything, because it doesn't really snow here. We get frost and we get lots of mist and crispy mornings, but we don't get snow. And also coming from South Africa, I've never even seen or touched snow when I left South Africa. So this was truly a first time for me. And like lovely gentleman that he was, he cut the chains off for me. And so I could you know, proceed on my journey. But I was, you know, I was in that moment, I was so stressed going over the pass that I didn't really enjoy the beautiful scenery. It was like Christmas. I think I would like to go back there again to just have a more positively stressful experience. But it was absolutely gorgeous, and it was an adventure. It felt so, um, how do I say it? It built my confidence, and I started to feel stronger in myself because I could handle situations and, you know, make mental notes while I was learning. You know, when the situation came up with the chains, I just made a mental note. You didn't really think this one through, because I'm a little bit impulsive at times, and I planned this whole trip in 2 days. You know, and I'll tell you more about that as well. Why I did it, why I planned it in 2 days. So anyway, I could, and as I left Arthur's Pass, maybe about 500 meters down the road, there's this person standing next to the road hitchhiking. And while I was in that situation where I felt really stressed and who's going to help me, is there anyone who can help me, this gentleman appears, you know, so to speak, out of nowhere. And to me, seeing this person hitchhiking next to the road was the universe basically shouting at me, we helped you out, now what are you going to do? So obviously I stopped. And I was traveling by myself, and this was just me saying to the universe, well, you know, this is me paying it forward, giving back. You've helped me out. So I'm always living my life in a way of an even exchange of energy. And so I stopped and I gave him a ride to Christchurch. And we had the most deepest conversations about spirituality and psychology, and you know, how hard and tough and challenging life can be at times. And in having that connection with someone who I don't know from a bar of soap, and obviously I did use my judgment to see, well, is this a dodgy person or not? You know, just by glancing, I can be a bit paranoid when it comes to people. So I did make sure, you know, as much as I could, and just shoot up a prayer to heaven and say, you know, this is me paying forward, so you know, please protect me. And it was actually quite a good experience to have, to be able to you know, just help someone out, okay, and not living in fear preventing me from helping someone because I've just been helped by someone who don't know me from a bar of soap either. And it was just that amazing experience of generosity and connecting on a heart level to people. You know, that is what I want to achieve on these journeys. Is when I go on a journey, it is like going into the unknown, because anything can happen while you're traveling. And there was a lot that happened. So that was the first thing that happened. Was my heli ride ran out, and I said, okay, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to grab the car, grab the map. I'm going to go see the lakes. I want to do readings for Heart Solutions, and I found the most amazing spots. You know, and it felt good to be able to, you know, for Heart Solutions, give the time, you know, to my baby, to my twin flame baby. Heart Solutions on the road with me. We're traveling, we're bringing messages of upliftment, you know, to everyone who's watching my channel. And I felt so close to my twin. It was, I could truly embrace, you know, the fact that I was on a journey, and I needed that journey so badly, but I just didn't know how much I needed until I was in it, and I started to feel you know, the freedom that I crave for on a spiritual level and on a mental level and on emotional level, the liberation of living in the moment where anything can happen. So I went across the pass, and my main mission was to find a grave. And this whole journey was a journey for me to find some closure for myself. My twin isn't speaking to me. He blocked me on Facebook. And because of that, I feel like he's closed the door where I can just check in with him and say, you know, is it okay if I say this? Is it okay if I do this? So I'm just winging it, okay, in that way. And I just want to say I deeply, deeply respect my twin. I love him. I don't want to do anything that will ever hurt him. And the story about finding Kerry's grave became my mission, okay, because I've kind of felt like, for me, if I could just go to her grave and just give her a gift or spend some time, or that there would be some closure there for me. Sorry. The reason why she's so important is because when I became a clairvoyant, the first person that I saw was my dad, because he saved my life. He committed me from, he stopped me from committing suicide. Kerry was the second person that I saw, and because I was new coming into clairvoyancy, I didn't know who this person was. And Nigel Collis, who was helping me teaching me about spiritual gifts, how to develop them, how to develop myself, what it is that I needed to do on a physical level to get more comfortable, because my Kundalini activated spontaneously. And when I was on the table while Nigel was doing Elohim, a healing on me, which is a spiritual healing. It's non-invasive. It's a very gentle kind of healing to regulate my energy. I would see this lady, you know, blonde lady. I didn't know who she was. And eventually, over time, with Nigel's help, I figured out that it was my twin's partner. And back in 2014, in August 2014, I tried to have a conversation with my twin. I told him that I saw her. And because I could tell him what she had crossed over from, her illness, and he confirmed it. But that is as far as that conversation ever went, because there is a lot of loss. There's a lot of pain around the situation. So sensitive. And if my twin ever get to watch this video, I just want to say, I'm sorry if I'm saying things here that you maybe wanted to keep private, but it's very hard doing this without you. This is hard. because I can feel the pain, I can feel the loss, I can feel the grief. And so all I had was a photograph of her grave. When it was her 50th birthday, the family got together and they put flowers on her grave, and the whole family was there with her, which I think was absolutely, it was amazing. You can see it, there's a lot of love there. So I took the photograph, and in the background I could see there were trees, and that the trees were perennial, so the look of the trees will change with the season. I saw that there were big power lines as well. Through a tiny little gap in the background of the photo, there was a big power line. So I knew that the grave was in a cemetery close to power lines. And I went onto Google, went to look at Christchurch and which graveyards were located next to big power lines. I found the cemetery, and then I also in the photograph noticed that the layout of the cemetery is unusual. It's not in the normal way where graves would be lined up. It's like graves would be facing this way, be facing that way, they'd be facing, like the four directions of the four directions. So, and then I put the photo on my phone, and of course on my way to Christchurch, what I did was I bought a vase here in Helensville, because it's close to where my twin lives, and I took the vase with me. The Greymouth is the place where my twin spent a lot of his younger years, and also a lot of his happy years, and that's also, I kind of gather, where he had met his partner. And I went to the beach close to where they lived, and I picked up stones from the beach. I put it in the vase to give it weight, and I bought plastic flowers, material flowers, and I bought some St. Joseph lilies because they were in a bouquet that she had when she was a bridesmaid on her sister's wedding. She had St. Joseph lilies as a bouquet. So I arrived at the cemetery with this grave, with this gift, and I was delayed because going over the pass. I was delayed with about 3 hours. And daylight in South Island in the winter time runs out fast. I had till 5 o'clock. So I arrived there at 3 o'clock, and I had till 5 o'clock or just before 5 to find her. And when I started to walk through, I just started to walk from the one side to the other, and I couldn't quite find her. And so I went to the back, further back. But when I got to the back, I realized that's totally wrong. That's not where she is. So I came back to closer to the front entrance again. And I really focused on the location according to the photograph. And that's when I found her. And to me, it felt good. I felt like she really, inside of me, I felt like she didn't deserve to die so young, that it was such a tragedy that I struggled to digest it, and I don't know how my twin managed to. I would say most probably that if I could go so far as to say that perhaps she was his one true love. And because I can see her and speak to her, it sort of, it doesn't matter that she was his one true love, because she feels like a friend to me. It feels like I've known her in a past life. And just having to sit there and talk with her and cry and bring her a gift, it did help me a lot, immensely. It felt good. It came from a good place. I traveled more than 1,000 kilometers to get there and to find her. And when I found her, it was like going over the pass and traveling so far and putting everything together, piecing everything together was all worth it, because she's that special. She's a special, special lady. And then I slept over in Christchurch. But I couldn't wait to get back home. And so I left early, and I drove up the east coast of South Island. I went back to Picton, spent a night there in the backpackers, Atlantis backpackers. I love living there. It's so homey. It's beautiful. And got the ferry back the next day, slept over in Wellington, and I was doing readings for Heart Solutions as I went along. And then what happened yesterday, when I picked up the train in Wellington, and when we got to Otaki, they let us know that there was an accident further up, were involving a pedestrian and another train. So they had to transfer us onto a bus, and basically, just took us straight back to Auckland, no deviation. And so it was an eventful experience, but it was so good. The reason why I planned this trip in 2 days is because I'm in counseling for complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and I can't skydive, I can't swim, I'm struggling with chronic fatigue, I don't have the energy to do those things, and also I have gained a lot of weight, so my body isn't in conducive of doing these kind of extreme sports, and it's slowing me down. So it affects me emotionally, and it affects me mentally. And my therapist asked me, she said, well, what do you have going for yourself at the moment? So I said to her, well, nothing really, I'm just going to work, sleep, work, sleep, work. And she said to me, oh, that's interesting, because you kind of strike me as somebody who goes out and does stuff. And she left it at that, but immediately it started to click in the back of my mind, like, I need to do something, I just don't know what. And when I got in the car, I asked myself, what is there that I really want to do that I haven't done yet? And I have never been to the South Island. And while I was driving from from her office back home, my mind was clicking. So, okay, well, let's take the train. How are we going to get to South Island? Where do I want to go in South Island? And I thought, immediately do the top half of South Island, just do a loop to loop. and things just started to fall into place. And I'm like a bee in a, when I have a bee in my bonnet, I just go and I get it done. So I planned the whole trip, going with the train, getting the ferry, picking up a car, going on the heli ride. I planned and organized it all in 2 days. And it felt, I never knew that it would be connecting me with myself on such a deep level, because all of a sudden I now experience South Island as a place where there it's totally different to North Island. They have beautiful mountains, they have snow, they have different landscapes, the people are different. It's more British colonial or European sort of feel around it, whereas the North Island has more Maori, it has mana, you know, and because of that, I realized that I am a North Island girl through and through. I love traveling in South Island, but in a place where I feel like is home. North Island is most probably, you know, the place I would call home. And Picton was a lovely little town. That was most probably my favorite place, what I've seen so far, because I still have to discover the bottom half of South Island, and I'm pretty sure that that will be totally different again, because that has like a Scottish, strong Scottish sort of heritage. And so I came full circle. It took me 8 days to travel, it's probably about 3,000 kilometers. And I met beautiful people. I had beautiful experiences. I found closure for myself. I could take Kerry a gift. And it puts everything, you know, it gives it a little bit more of a perspective. Because I'm kind of navigating this twin flame thing by myself, and I miss my twin a lot sometimes, but I know he's always with me. And I just want to say thank you for watching, for liking, subscribing, following. I'll be doing it again. You know, I'm a traveler. I used to travel across the galaxies with my twin, and and because I was traveling by myself, it never really felt like I was alone, because the seat next to me, the empty one, that's my twin's place. You know, in the car, in the bus, on the train, on the ferry. I could feel him with me wherever I went, so I didn't feel alone. And I loved going exploring in the little towns to see what they have there, the people, the things that they do. So in Hokitika, there's a beautiful glass factory where they have live displays of items that they make. It's while they make them, it's right in the shopping area where they display their work. It's a beautiful place to go to. So look up Hokitika Glass Factory. I really enjoyed that. And there's lots of little things that you can do in the way of touristy things. And the West Coast, oh my gosh, is so wild. I loved it because it's, on a stormy day, it storms, the waves crash against the shore, and it's like makes you feel so alive. And then on a sunny day, it's so calm, and the mist is rolling over the mountain, and the contrast is so contrast. And so I truly loved staying in Greymouth. I didn't explore Christchurch a whole lot because I was behind schedule. Kaikoura was a lovely little place. I would have liked to stop there. That's on the east coast of um, South Island. And then, of course, when you get to the top of the South Island in Marlborough, that's wine country. They have these beautiful vineyards, you know, lying at the bottom, at the feet of these huge mountain ranges, and it's beautiful views. It just feels like this is an absolute awesome country to live in. So I'm going to say goodbye now, and Daily Tarot will continue as per usual from Monday, 7 days a week. And you know, you can always follow me on Facebook. You know, if I don't pop up on YouTube, Facebook is my go-to because it's just easier in some ways to take it on the road and connect with people all over the world. So the links are below the video if you want to find me and follow me there. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a beautiful day. Light and love.